I just got back from seeing Happy Death Day in theaters. I had very, very low expectations for this movie after seeing a preview when I went to see it in theaters a couple of weeks ago, but I thought it looked like a fun movie to see around Halloween, so I went and checked it out, and to be honest, I kind of loved it. I was really surprised by how fun this movie was. Again, I went into this thinking it was going to be a terrible movie, and I was there to revel in the badness, and then the badness wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty great. The premise of this movie is completely unoriginal. It's a total ripoff of Before I Fall, which is a ripoff of Groundhog Day. The premise of Before I Fall is that a shitty high school student who's a raging asshole to everyone in her life has to relive the same day over and over again because she's killed in a car accident at a party every night, and so she has to figure out how to save herself, and through that process becomes a better person. In this movie, a shitty college student who is a raging asshole to everyone in her life is killed every night at a party, although in this case she's murdered. She has to relive the same day over and over to figure out how to save herself, and through this process becomes a better person. There's nothing new or original or creative about this plot. It's a boring plot. The main character goes from being utterly insufferable to totally likable by around the middle of the film. She, of course, has a romantic subplot with the boy that she would never ever have considered at the start of the movie when she's all shallow, but of course she realizes that he's really great and they suit each other well, and she falls in love with him, and she becomes more down to earth, and blah 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 blah. It doesn't break any ground, but it is such a blast. It's a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. I'd argue it's actually closer to comedy than to horror. It really does just have a blast with satirizing horror tropes and also embracing them. I think that it doesn't get too heavy simply because you end up having to... Each time she's killed isn't really that scary since we know she's going to wake up the next day. I did like the kind of slight urgency that was created by her feeling the effects of all of the compounded killings when she woke up, so that it seems like eventually she wouldn't be able to keep doing it, and that she would actually just die for real at one point. The magic or whatever that brings her back is never really explained, but that's okay. The ending of the movie, while I don't think it was very well set up, and I think that parts of it were just very poorly thought out, the execution was actually great. I really appreciated so much about the end of this movie. I think that was probably my favorite part, is just it completely turned my expectations upside down, and then it turned them upside down again. It was fun. I enjoyed every minute. I didn't manage to guess the plot by the middle of the movie, and the way that they pulled the wool over your eyes is kind of just a delight. I liked the performances in this movie. I thought the lead characters in particular did an excellent job. They really made the characters charming, and they kind of gave them a lot of attitude and personality that really did pull you in and make you relate to them, even though, again, the plot is really cheesy and unoriginal and contrived. This movie does nothing new, but it doesn't need to do anything new, because the way that it uses its plot and its tropes and its cliches is very economical. You have a good time, you enjoy pretty much every scene, or at least I enjoyed pretty much every scene. I thought that this movie had really fun pacing. I thought the chase scenes were good. I thought some of the kill scenes were really entertaining. I won't spoil the ending for anyone because the ending is honestly probably the best part of the movie in a lot of ways, just because I thought that parts of the way it was executed were just masterful. Parts of it were not. Parts of it were not masterful at all, and really were just very, very, very poorly thought out. One nitpick I have that is probably my biggest nitpick of the entire film, because it bothered me through the whole movie, is that fucking baby mask. Because the baby mask, first of all, is not scary. There's nothing scary about a blonde, blue-eyed one-toothed baby mask. It's not like a creepy doll thing. It's just a scary baby mask, and it's not scary. Like, they want it to be scary so bad, and it just isn't. It isn't. And worse, the reason for the mask in universe, like in the plot, is that it's official merchandise for the Bayfield Babies, which is the school's mascot, the university's mascot in the movie. And I just can't imagine any high school athletes getting excited to go and play for the Babies. You know, I just can't picture people like buying merch and excitedly cheering for the Babies. It's so cheesy, and it lends itself to such mockery. No school would choose that as the name for their fucking sports team, and that little thing honestly required more suspension of disbelief for me than the whatever magic kept bringing her back every time. Like, I don't know why they chose this mask, and I don't know why they chose this reason for the mask. But to be honest, if that's the worst thing about the movie, I'll take it. Again, it's not a great movie. There's nothing original or super creative about it, but it uses its cliches and its repetitiveness and its unoriginal aspects in a way that is kind of refreshing and very entertaining. I would say if you're a fan of the horror genre, or if you're a fan of light horror like Scream, I think that you would probably enjoy this movie. For me, it was a blast. I had fun every minute of the film, and I would totally see it again. When it comes out on streaming services, I'll probably buy it to watch with friends, because it's just one of those movies that had a lot of little moments that were really, really enjoyable. There's a lot of comedy in this movie, and it works really, really well, and it contrasts really well with the darker moments. I'd say the pacing is fun, and a lot of scenes in this movie would have been scary if it weren't for the baby mask, I think. I don't think they'd be like actually scary, but I think there'd be a little more suspense and tension without that stupid baby mask. But ultimately, entertaining movie, would recommend. That is everything I have for you. Leave your opinions of this movie if you've seen it in the comments down below. Try not to be a spoiler, because spoilers are dicks. And if you like my videos, subscribe. If you don't, I'm sure you'll tell me. So that's everything I have for you. Wiedersehen.